Have you ever felt trapped in a 9-to-5 job, dreaming of a life of freedom? Well, today I'm going to share my journey of why I left behind a steady job to chase a life of freedom through entrepreneurship. My name is James Eardley. I've generated a 7-figure e-commerce business, which has allowed me time and location freedom. And with this video, I'm going to teach you how to do the same. Just a few years ago, I would dread that Monday morning alarm. And on a Sunday evening, I'd have a feeling in the pit of my stomach that I wasn't living a life that was fulfilling or anything like what I'd imagined for myself. I worked at a local housing association and I was in the office most days. And in those days in the office, I would stare blankly at the walls. I'd have this feeling of unfulfillment, knowing that I wasn't living a life that I wanted to live. And I'd look around at the people around me that were perhaps 20 or 30 years ahead of me on their career paths. And I knew that I didn't dream and I didn't imagine myself in their shoes in 20 or 30 years' time. Now, yes, they were making decent income, but I could see that they were always trapped and tied to the confines of that 9-to-5 job. They couldn't live where they wanted to live. They couldn't work on the hours that they wanted to be working, and they didn't have the financial freedom to step away from a job and to live a life of freedom. And I knew that I wasn't aligned with that lifestyle. Now, there's nothing wrong if you want to stay in a 9-to-5 job and if that is true to yourself. But alternatively, if you know in a 9-to-5 job that that isn't the life that you dream for yourself, I can resonate with those feelings. Perhaps you wake up every day and you dread that alarm, you don't want to go to the office, and you are desiring a life of more for yourself. There is more out there and you know that, but you're not sure how to get there. Well, those feelings are all too familiar. It's so easy to feel trapped in a 9-to-5 job and not know the way out. Now, I had this desire for freedom that I've talked about, and that made me dream about a life different from the 9-to-5 job. And I started to form an idea of what my dream life would be. And that would be my first step for you if you decide that you want to quit a job as well, is to be really clear on what does a perfect day look like for you in the future. Because the first thing you feel is this dread or this disappointment in what your life looks like in a 9-to-5 job. And I had that, but that's not helpful at all if you don't know what the alternative is. So while I was feeling disappointed and dreading and not looking forward to my day, I needed not to focus on that disappointment and just be miserable and not put my all into my work. Instead, I needed to put my focus into, okay, if that isn't perfect, what does the perfect life look like? And I noticed that as I became more and more clear on what that looked like, I took more and more actions to actually be able to leave my 9-to-5 job to go towards that life of freedom that I dreamed about. So my life of freedom, and for me, success was all about freedom. And I knew that I wasn't getting that with a 9-to-5 job. So success for me means time, location, and financial freedom, which means you can do what you want, essentially, wherever in the world you want to be, with whoever you want to be with, and do it on your own time whenever you want to do it. Now, the key to all of this is having a life that isn't tied and you're not told what to do by a boss. So there's no way that I can have the freedom that I wanted while being in a 9-to-5 job. It was important for me to see the world and to look after my family, both financially and by being there time-wise and being able to spend quality time with the people around me. So if you resonate with this and you know that your life isn't going in the right direction, perhaps you want to provide more for your family, you want to provide more time for your family, then you're thinking exactly the same as what I did. And that ultimately made me make a big decision in my life. Now, the difficult decision comes from leaving a 9-to-5 job because it's a steady income stream. By everyone else's standards, looking at your life with a steady 9-to-5 job, you have succeeded and you're on the traditional path to freedom. Now, the difficulty is that is comfortable, and especially after you've been in a 9-to-5 job for probably more than the first 3 months, the learning curve at that job really starts to plateau, and every day feels comfortable. You're not being pushed out of your comfort zone. You know what to expect from every day, and it's just easier. It feels comfortable to be continuing in that cycle. Even if you've got a really demanding job, it's not outside of your comfort zone because you are familiar with what every day looks like. And then if you compare that with the life that you're dreaming of, it's a lot of unknown. And I didn't know what my day-to-day life would look like. I didn't know how difficult it would be. I didn't know how long it was going to take. I didn't know actually what it would take because I didn't have anyone around me at the time that had already achieved the freedom that I was looking for. So when I was given these two choices in my mind, I had that comfortable choice of staying in a steady job, or I had the uncomfortable decision of starting something brand new. And for a long time, because I had these thoughts for a long time, for about 2 years, I just couldn't justify leaving that job because the comfort of every day, and they call it tolerable mediocrity, I could just tolerate every day. And the unknown and the uncomfortable starting a business, I just couldn't justify leaving that steady income to go and start that business. Now, where that balance all changed was after some time, because I could see that 9-to-5 job wasn't changing. I wasn't getting any more fulfilled by that job, and it wasn't teaching me anything new. And the more and more uncomfortable that 9-to-5 job became, the more comfortable I felt with leaving my 9-to-5 job and starting a business. And I increased that comfort around that because I started to see other people that had already generated that freedom that I was looking for through online business. Now, you can imagine it like a balance. So on the one side, I had the comfort of my 9-to-5 job initially, and the comfort of starting a business was very, very low. And so in life, we're always looking to avoid pain and seek pleasure. So clearly, when the balance is like this, you're always going to stay with what's more comfortable and stay in that 9-to-5 job. But as the 9-to-5 job became less comfortable because I could dread the days more and more, I could see that I wasn't going anywhere, it became more difficult to go to work every day, that comfort level started to come down. And on the other side, for starting a business, I could see other people that were starting a business and being successful. I could get around communities of people that were creating these businesses. And then I had the step-by-step mentorship to show me how to build a successful business. And suddenly the scales had tipped and it was more comfortable to start a business and it felt more risky to continue staying in that job. Now that critical point where the scales changed and it became more painful to stay in the job than it was to go into the unknown and start a business, well, that was the moment that I knew it was the right time to get started. And I started building that business. I stayed in my 9-to-5 job initially while I was building up the income and while I was building up my confidence. And as soon as I generated and matched the income I was getting from my 9-to-5 job with my new online income, then I could quit my 9-to-5 job and go all in on that business that I had created for myself. Now, the key for me is all about the balance and understanding the psychology that as humans, we're always trying to seek comfort and avoid discomfort. Because in our human brains, from our ancestors from millions of years ago, if you got out of the comfort zone, it meant death, because it meant that you were going away from the tribe and you wouldn't take these risks. Now, we still have that mind from millions of years ago that hasn't evolved as quickly as the times have changed. And so now when we look at uncomfortable situations like starting a business or leaving a 9-to-5 job, we still attach the same amount of risk to it. But in reality, we can hack that system. And the way you hack that system is by changing the scales, making it more risky and understanding that it's more uncomfortable to stay in a 9-to-5 job than it is to start your own business and to go after your dreams. Now, I'm not suggesting that you should quit your job and hand your notice in straight away and say, look, I watched this video from James Eardley and ever since I've wanted to quit my job. I'm not suggesting that. Notice in my story, I made sure I built the business first while I still had my 9-to-5 income coming in, and I only left when the income matched and was beating that 9-to-5 job. So I'm not saying that it's going to be something you can make a decision overnight, but just know that if you want to make that decision to leave a 9-to-5 job and go after a life of freedom through entrepreneurship, the way to do that is to hack your system to make it more uncomfortable and risky to stay than it is to start. And the way you do that is by creating that mental pain around staying and understanding that it's not comfortable to stay in that job, and to create that mental pleasure and desire over starting your dream life. So have a really clear vision. and also get around communities, get around people, start learning from others, and that will also increase your confidence to leave your job and start a business as well. So that's that for today's video. Just a quick note, if you are struggling to kickstart your journey towards freedom through entrepreneurship and you're finding it difficult to leave a 9-to-5 job, then I recommend checking out that first link in the description under this video. Now, don't worry, it's not a paid course or a really expensive program or anything like that. It's purely just a gateway to our Freedom Builders free community. And in that community, we're getting people together, sharing tips and tricks for building a life of freedom through entrepreneurship, helping each other out if they're leaving 9-to-5 jobs. And ultimately, you'll be around people that are already making a success of themselves so that you can increase your confidence levels. So check it out if you feel like it would be helpful, but feel free to completely ignore it if you don't. Remember as well that if you like the video, then I'll know that you like this type of video so I can make more of these videos. Comment to let me know if you plan to leave a 9-to-5 job and build your own business as well. And subscribe for more videos like this. It makes a huge difference to the channel and it will make my day. So with that said, I hope you've enjoyed the video today and I will catch you in the next one. Cheers.